Hello everyone and welcome to this video where we are continuing on the tandem rotor helicopter build. Now I hope you're tuning in from the previous video where you saw me struggle with putting together a helicopter that does not have a tail rotor, as well as the other functions and features that I've been adding since kind of the beginning. Well, if you are tuning in from the previous one, then sit back and relax because we're going to continue on this build. I have a couple other features and functions in mind, but I do want to make this thing quite functional and very useful for the game itself. Now I gotta say, I'm actually really impressed with how I did this. I really do like it, and you may notice that there are some minor changes that I did throughout that were not captured in the first video. For example, I placed these doors. I made them not open 100%, they open 90% because then you could actually see them open like this. I pushed back this seating area a little bit and added seats throughout. Now you can see these seats look kind of weird here, but I assure you it's quite functional, and the best part is that cars can still drive in through this rear hatch. Honestly, I'm dying to just paint this thing. I want it to be painted and look nice, and at that point then I'll be able to add other features. But you will notice, also put this rail in. The idea is you can slide things in and out, and if you look up, I've actually mounted a tracked crane. So the idea is that crane can also be used to bring things in and out, potentially lift things through the hatch if we need to, in addition to these winches and stuff like that. I think the best inspiration right now is to use the color scheme from the OSAR version of the RX 118. If I can start with that, we could always make other OMA colored versions and variants, but I do think that this one kind of looks pretty spiffy with the orange shade. And of course, interior wise, it's pretty much mostly grays and blacks with a touch of tan for the seating, and we'll kind of carry that over in this one. Right away with this orange, it's already looking much better, but I do have to do something. I'm not going to leave it like an orange blob. As you can tell, all of my helicopters have some sort of semblance of a design color scheme, and I can't really see that here yet. We have to add white and blue, but overall, I do like this color on it. Something that was kind of bothering me was the windows were not aligned. They were too high and they weren't evenly spaced. Well, now you can see out the windows. They are not too high anymore. And of course, they're evenly spaced. So I moved everything, and I did put one of these on the door. The idea is that it matches the RX 118. So you can see here with those two windows. And now we kind of have a similar style. Of course, same brand, so same style. Overall, I'm not a fan of just drawing straight lines. Yes, it is the easiest in Stormworks with our current configuration, but I tend to try to use the curvature and shapes of things to kind of create a more natural flowing color scheme. So trying to see if I can get something a little nicer than what I currently have. Quite happy with how this is looking now. So you could see we got some pretty nice designs. The idea behind this OSAR creation and OSAR in general, as you can see over there, is that the OMA colors should be peeking out, almost as if you took an OMA helicopter and painted parts of it and left some of the originals. So that's kind of what this line is. It's almost like you had a white and blue helicopter and then just slapped on, not slapped on, but effectively nicely painted over it, and it's a mixture of two. That's kind of what makes OSAR. Looking really nice now with the OSAR logo. Take a look at that. What a craft. Currently, I've done nothing to the interior. You can see portions where I put in that OSAR logo are now colored in the gray, and some of this down there, but overall it's pretty untouched. It's looking pretty good now, pretty polished. If we step inside, you can see the cabin here is now looking quite similar to the 118, from the coloring down to the kind of style. But one thing I do want to bring your attention to is, in addition to the R10 connectors, which is these two here, I did put one extra one here, and I have one H4 right here and a second H4 right there. So it can actually fit two H4 containers or one R10 creation. Now, if that's all gibberish to you, take a look at my video where I talk about standardizing systems. In the cockpit, everything is looking much nicer. This interior now, with the coloring, it really works. The polishing stage can take really as long as possible or not, so I've been adding little details, little painting things here and there, some equipment. Still have these storage bays to put equipment in on both sides. And one thing that I really like that I want to implement is having a door button for the back cargo hatch that operates and has lights, has a buzzer. If it's about to open, it makes that kind of classic like buzzer sound for you to jump. So that's one of those things that I really want to do. And in addition to what we previously had, well, not in addition, but rather than what we previously had was just a cargo hatch button, I want to make it a little bit more fun. Now, fun also comes at the price of realism, so you have to battle those two things. Right now, we just have a simple toggle button that opens the cargo hatch on both sides, and from the exterior, I got that design from here, where this system works quite well. It does not have it on both sides on the interior, it has it on both sides on the exterior. Here I figured because of the style of this craft, it would be better to have it on both sides. But that said, I want these buttons to be push buttons, and then the pilot up here is able to actually control that back there. I quickly made the framework. Close the door, lower the door if the door's open, green light, red light, and over there, they're just going to be simple push button commands, nothing crazy. So you just open it and close it by pressing the push button, whereas over here you can actually see whether it's open or closed. I also like the idea of a camera right up here that can tell us whether or not the hatch is open and what's going on. Now we just have to realize that this camera here has to feed into the existing CCTV system, which is currently, I believe, on a 4-camera rotation, if I'm not mistaken, right here. So it says 4-camera, but because I designed this thing, we can easily make it a 5-camera solution. In the cockpit, we got the front, rear, underneath. Those are black because they're under the helicopter. We got the cargo, and then here we got the hatch. If we turn the lights on here, then over here you could see that it has a very nice view, so you can kind of watch what it sees and where things go. Two new systems were programmed. One is the buttons, like I said, so we have them here in the cockpit, we have them here on the entrance to the cockpit, and you could still use these buttons back here. So that's one system. I'll show you how it works. The second one is what I call an R10 vehicle quick connect. So what you do is when you toggle this on, it enables this distance meter right here. So as long as a car is filling this space, the rear connector will be disabled. So the idea is that your car, you can drive over that first connector right there without your front connector pairing to the vehicle. So once you get to the back, then this turns off, this triggers off, and you can connect to the back connectors. So it just allows you to park a vehicle without having to press this button, drive in, repress the button, hope the thing positions itself. Now you just kind of go in one single swoop. It's looking good. I much like how it's looking, and then also I did some playing around with this. We'll see how this all works. My crane with a potential magall to kind of push cargo out. Anyway, over here, you can see we can open, and then if we press here, we can also close, so it gives us a nicer range of things we can do. So we can open, you see it opening, close, we can turn on the red light right there, or right there, or press this button turn the green light and a buzzer. Now if we go over here, we could press this enable vehicle quick connect, and if we get into this car, note that now I have not disabled the R10 connector system from the trailer hitch. So we're just regularly driving it in, and you can see now, once we kind of pass that distance sensor, then it'll actually allow our vehicle to get paired. And you see how once I got paired, that display or the button toggled off. So you don't have to, once you press it once, it enables the whole thing, and all you got to do is drive a car in and it's automatically going to disconnect it, or rather automatically connects the vehicle by disconnecting this rear until you've driven past it, and then it turns it on. So it just gives you a nice little way to get a vehicle in. Now you can see the only place to control these is from here and from the cockpit, but that's okay. In here, that's a pretty cool view of the cargo area, the cargo bay, the cars in there. Added this little thing, added artificial horizon, added this enable air-to-air fueling. You can see that this arm extends itself, and the cool thing is you could actually see it from the cockpit, and when you press it you can see it slide in. So it does work quite nicely. So I would say now it's looking pretty polished. Just a couple little details, like in here we don't have anything currently. We're gonna put some stuff in there and some other things, but otherwise it's coming along quite nicely, I gotta say. The little storage equipment has been added, including an armory, including some cables and first aid and firefighting gear. So we got a little bit of everything. It's kind of stowed away to the sides. Of course, up here is kind of your quick reach emergency gear, and of course we have some gear beside us for emergency or pilot use. So there's a wide variety of things that are scattered throughout the helicopter that you could use. It's all finalized. There's a couple of little details I have to add, but really now in here you'll see I have added color-coded connectors, and over here, based on what you turn on, you have the same color coding system. So you can have, for example, an R10 vehicle, an R10 boat, H4 forward and rear slots. Over here is a winch to kind of move this off to the side. Obviously you could take this down, put it there, but if you want to get it back out of the way, it's quite simple. You just put it in there and winch it up into storage position. So the idea behind that is to kind of free up your space here for allowing cargo into the helicopter bay here. I've also sort of more or less finalized the display systems. You could see added also this thing, which if you grab this rope, attach it to this, detach this attachment, well, now you can use it here with this screen. So it actually lets you toggle on the attachment there. Wrong one, that's actually for the cargo, or sorry, this is for the rescue, meaning for this thing. And then this is for the cargo. So now it's connected, as you can see. If I unlink it now, it's not connected. And this is the winch for that system. So that allows you, now I did not add the smooth winch, that's the next step I have to do to add. But in essence now you can use these systems, and that all kind of seems to tie in quite nicely. Over here we got the track, and this track can enable the pusher, which is this little device that actually physically moves and pushes cargo out. So if you have a vehicle or whatever, you can use that to push it out. And it has a inner track as well. Now keep in mind it will kind of hit that stuff, so you have to be careful when you're moving it over top, and maybe let's put the pusher in. But in essence what this allows us to do is slide all the way out. If I sit here and I press this button, you'll see it come all the way out here. And then if I press this secondary button, it'll come out even farther. So it allows you to actually put cargo in without using a vehicle. You could just take this, winch it in, and pull it in with the inner and main track system. The winches there are also controllable by this control panel here. Inside the cockpit, one thing I did want to add was this viewing scope that actually attaches to this front-facing camera. So if you zoom it in a little, say turn on night vision, and then look at it. So you have that view. So that's kind of, instead of having a heads up display here, you could look into that, and when it's nighttime, it works a lot better. So it lets you kind of view things through there. Now, not quite sure if it's fully fixed yet. You can see we're still kind of seeing it in color, but regardless, that does give us another option kind of to view things as we're flying. Another nice feature is with my new Unicon connector container system, you'll actually be able to put it in with this track, lock it into place in the first bay, for example, or second bay, and this thing has a built-in parachute. So you actually could enable your parachute and have it come out and catch it and drop it, deploy it pretty much, in essence. So there we have it. I may make some tiny changes throughout, but that's pretty much it. You'll see that now we have a working helicopter. Yes, I repositioned the harness storage winch here, so it doesn't actually block us when we drive vehicles into the cargo bay here. You just kind of drive up, and of course by the time you get here, that's out of your way. So thank you for watching. Hopefully this is a creation that's popular, that people will enjoy. I'm going to use it, and I even placed it on one of my ships just to see kind of the size of a ship I need to make for this thing to be able to park on it, and fairly sizable. So stay tuned for a larger hulled ship. We see what we come up with. But again, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more content, for more creations, for releases, for tutorial videos, and a bunch of fun stuff. Until next time, happy Stormworksing, everyone.